Okay, so here's our operational meeting, and I already dropped the links to the documents we have as an agenda and concepts and definitions. And I think if we have no very special highlights for now, we can directly go to the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So at first, I could suggest to discuss about the documents, concepts and definitions. Did you have a time to have a look at it?
Yeah, the one with the realm and yes.
With
Yeah.
realms and with of course, the first thing I wanted to ask from you is what do you think about the concept of messages, and could we try really to implement this, and also if you would have a chance to discuss it with Diego.
Yeah, we discussed it, and also we had a meeting yesterday, yesterday, no, the day before,
Yeah,
with the John Kunze from ARC,
yeah.
because we are looking for solutions in the persistent identifiers, and really what the actually we are recording, so I cannot say so much, but yeah, because I don't have the John Kunz's permission
Yes, of
to
course.
say
That's
what was said on that meeting.
fair enough.
So, but I think the this outlook, what you are proposing, I think is more interesting for us. That much I can say.
In the which concepts of realms or concept of messages?
And in the realm concept, you know,
Okay.
because we have a conflict with the centralized non you know, the authority number that the
Yes.
ARC is a centralized
Yes, I can understand. Jonas,
yep.
do you need any explanation, or did you have a look on the documents?
I have looked at the document. I'm not sure I understand everything, but that is perhaps not a problem.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Sergio, please go ahead.
Yeah, and the thing is, this in regards with the codex meeting we had, this is still two separate things, or am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, so your solution, this document, it does not rely on blockchain. It's more a peer-to-peer kind of solution.
Exactly.
Yep.
What is the benefit of doing that?
We have discussed it with Philip. You didn't join us, if I remember.
No, I have been away on different conferences.
Yeah. So
time.
it was at first I tried months ago to implement the deployment of Codex library, and I discovered that at first it is extremely difficult to maintain the deployment in its current state. So at least we need something like the deployment recipe, which is not obviously not just a Docker container or something like that.
No.
Yeah, and the second thing is that the blockchain itself, because this technology relies to the Ethereum blockchain containing also the gas. It makes all of the system, despite it has inside some things to eliminate the gas costs or something like that, it's extremely difficult to maintain. And also it's completely dependent from the peculiarities of the Ethereum network. Because, for example, if Ethereum network and the community will decide to increase, for example, the cost of gas up to the values that the community will not be able to maintain the systems like Codex, we will lose the part of the infrastructure to maintain the persistent identifier, so we will lose persistency.
Yeah, that is fatal. So
Yeah. And the second point we were discussing about, let's say, the redundancy and the aspects of persistency. So we can see in the last agenda and in the transcript.
yeah.
Yeah, we can see that it's actually the different aspects. Oh, ciao, Lars. Yeah, there are the different aspects between the persistency and the redundancy itself. And actually, the concept of blockchain is, let's say, it may be considered, let's say, too heavyweight solution to obtain the redundancy in the in the context of persistent identifier. But the concepts which are already well developed and documented, between them and among them, there is a concept that's, at least in my opinion, it's quite interesting. It's a distributed hash table because it allows the nodes to exchange the short messages, relatively short messages, despite it's encrypted or not, and to build independent peer-to-peer networks, which are not extremely dependent from each other, and it translates, let's say, the arbitrary data. So we can divide the persistency infrastructure and messaging infrastructure, which would be used to contain the functionality of, let's say, fast updates. This is very briefly what we have discussed.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
good
kind
to
of
hear what I missed.
yeah, it's kind of in in this hash table, distributed hash table, the whole metadata information is replicated. So in that way that's the way to obtain persistency. Is that correct, Andre?
Yes, yes, and also because that constant, instead of having the blockchain and storing every, let's say, every state of every piece of metadata we are storing in our infrastructure, we have a constant flow of metadata between all of the participants. And
Okay.
this is how distributed hash table maintains the, let's say, the update status. Not the persistency itself, but the update status.
How would this work on an offline system?
For offline systems that once you, well, obviously you cannot, for example, download the state of the distributed hash table in its current implementation.
No.
Yeah, but once you have, let's say, Sergio, sorry.
No, that your realm or your realm will be like the NaN for Arc. You will only generate identifiers under your realm. So once you go back to the network, you update the hash table and you download whatever other things that happen in other realms.
Yeah, and our task now is to develop the rules in this context, is to develop the rules under which the update operations should be held. Because for example,
yeah. If you have two offline that suddenly goes online and they have edited the same PID, that would be.
well, in the distributed hash table, there are no actually fields. So the metadata that are transferred that are time-stamped, so there will be a queue. And our current task is to develop the rules under which the update operations should be held. Because, for example, if we are trying to distribute the software, the first thing we should identify with our persistent identifier, which this software generates, is the software itself.
Yeah. So also we can think in case of collision, how to create the rule, what to do in case of collision.
Yes, of course. The collision handling should be as let's say the essential
You
component.
cannot avoid it. I mean, because collision can happen even in something you cannot foresee at the moment, but
Yeah.
you have to create the rule in case of collision.
Yes, and for doing this, probably it's the only thing I would suggest as a programmer. It's a version control approach, and like it is done now in the concepts of pull requests in the version control systems like Git.
Have you seen, Andre, this XYZ?
Sorry, I didn't hear you very well.
I will send you the.
Yes, because it seems that Zoom reports me that your connection is not so stable.
Yeah, my connection is not so stable. My country either. Okay, so
yes, radical. Let's say the concept of radical itself, as it is a web interface very similar to GitLab. Let's say it doesn't seem to me very useful out of the open source programming society, but the approach is very similar. Yes.
It's similar because
Yes.
it's also peer-to-peer.
Exactly, and which is and they are actually having the instrumentation let's say realm to contain the pull requests.
Yeah, so I think it's something we can look at
Yeah.
for just to see how they solve some things that will happen to us.
Yes, and this is could you please include it in let's say your explanation about how it should work in our concepts and definitions document, because at least at this week I will not be able to do it. Even on 1st of November, we are working. Yeah, so if you would be able, I would be really appreciated about it. Yes, this concept seems to me really a good suggestion. So okay. Let me see the next point. And so the concept of messages, I may say that we have agreed that this concept is useful for us. So I may write it down. Okay.
So last time I was in a meeting, that was, I think, the meeting with the CEO of DSI.
With Philip, yes.
Yes. So what steps have been taken since then? Have we ditched DSI?
Well, we were discussing about how to implement the deployment of Codex library.
Yeah, and that you said was troublesome.
Yes, it's very problematic. But afterwards, I had a health issue and I didn't have a time to dedicate to this problem. So I concentrated a bit on the development of the concept of messages. And I performed a little experiment with OpenDHT, so it works. And I could say that on the next meeting with this side, we could, if I would be able to write a prototype to demonstrate a prototype of messaging system.
Good. Also, one of the conferences I was at was the EOSC Symposium. And there they were actually asking, since they have now launched their EU node for sharing and cooperating within Europe, they were actually telling that, I remember one question was, will we be able to mint our own DOIs or PIDs or something like that? So I don't remember the answer because I think that they haven't thought of that. So maybe we could talk a bit more with the PID people in EOSC and get.
Yes, we could. And I may ask some people which I know from the project Expanse.
Yep.
Yes, so I will write an email to them and have a copy of it on our mailing list.
Good. Because I think if you wanted to spread, having a huge organization like EOSC Association would be pretty good.
Yeah, and also just to, let's say, to have a bit more dissemination, I also spoke with Yorgos,
Yep.
our colleague, and maybe we would like to translate the idea to EOSC.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think that would be excellent.
Yeah, because to be honest, now to be extremely, let's say, clear and honest, I cannot say that I see that it's more or less referentially easy to mint your own DPID. You are still snapped to the infrastructure provided by the Scilabs.
Yeah, okay. That is unfortunate because that is one of the main points of this whole project, I would say.
Yes.
Even Philip recognized that they are the only ones that could deploy successfully.
Yes, exactly.
And he said that they will work on an installation package in order to solve that, but that's not ready.
Yes, and I will now drop a link to their GitHub in which there is a discussion.
Yeah, I was actually trying to, well, deploy their sort of DPID
Did you have any success?
starting thing, but I failed immediately.
Yes, I didn't fail immediately, but it's very, very problematic. At first, I would say that, again, remembering, the ceramic is very problematic, and I don't see the possibility to, for example, have a, how could I say, the installation package in more or less convenient manner. So here is a discussion.
But with IRO, we are still moving forward.
Yes, we are still moving forward because I have I performed, let's say, a lot of experiments with IRO, and let's say the system seems to be like IPFS, but it is not anonymous. So OpenDHT and distributed hash table concepts fits perfectly because to access the node, you need to have this node as a server.
And Radical, the tech.
Radical, it seems to be striving to be anonymous.
But it's using IPFS, no?
No, I guess no. It's a, let's say, let me see it as it is a Git. As it is Git. Sorry?
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
It was just large coffee.
Yeah. As it is Git. It contains, as they say, this sentence. Basic search functionality, I will now show my screen.
Yeah, please do.
Can you see it?
Yes.
So here it is. So it is actually really works like a distributed hash table, but it is not completely decentralized.
So we need to have some sort of server somewhere. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, at least to even run Radical, you need to have your own constantly connected server with, for example, demilitarized zone or the virtual port trigger to contain it, because actually it's web-based. And once it's just a web wrapper for Git and distributed hash table, and let's say it is exchanging the developers with something like, I think, really similar to IRO tickets. So you are having the exact address from which you would download your data and download the commit tree. And also there are a lot of problems, for example, with the hash sum. Here's a SAHA1, and it is for now it's completely broken. So we cannot rely on it, really.
Yeah.
Okay, but this experience, I think, is very useful for us to keep track of it.
Yes, yes, it is, as we are working with a special build of Git. And this is actually, I have now really work in progress project. I'm working on it on the weekends. IRO as a backend for Git.
Okay.
Just from a command line. And I discovered that the mostly significant problem is how to let's say gather IRO with a Git LFS, large file system, because the larger files we are handling, then it increases the probability of a hash collision. In terms of SHA1. If we would do about SHA 256, then it would be no such a problem. But Git has some problems maintaining this mode.
Yeah, but in the case of DPID,
yeah,
we will not have system needed because we are only talking about metadata.
Yes, for the first attempt, we are not in need.
We will not have those kind of problems because our data will be very lightweight.
Yes, during the initial run time, we will not have such a problem.
We will have a problem of large hash tables.
Let's say so and so, because experimenting with OpenDHT, I could say that it's quite reliable. So I was trying to run the command line interface on just two machines anywhere, and they are able to connect to each other immediately once you are specifying the encryption keys and the network identifier. Network identifier is an internal identifier leading you to create up to 65,000 of networks under OpenDHT. So
yeah, but
yeah,
like Wikidata, we should aim to like to put a persistent identifier to every cell, for example, no, and that you will have a structure where you have very large hash tables, and that we should have it in mind in the architecture.
I am thinking about how to avoid this, because we don't really need to identify every cell. Once the number of cells are more or less limited, we can rely on it. We can rely on it, but I think the identifier itself should be resolved in the way when the distributed hash table is an intermediate layer. So it translates the persistent identifier to the currently active nodes, and then the nodes exchanging with the messages decide where and how it should be resolved on the side of the agent who has a metadata.
Okay.
Who has
So
sorry, the real data. The metadata are redundant.
So that would mean it would work kind of like a phone number where you just know the general area and then you pinpoint down to the exact person, and that person is the data. So everyone who phones that number will get to that specific person, but you don't need to know more than the country, the region, and the rest of the numbers. And you don't need to store anything but, for instance, number to Sweden and the number to my area. On a grand level, you don't need to know everyone inside my town, because you can do it based on that, you know that this town has these 5 numbers.
To be honest, I was thinking about it like let's say having the distributed hash table cell identifiers as let's say the field representation. So from this you are having a ticket, IRO ticket for the closest node, and from this node you are downloading the realm metadata. If you don't have it, once you have downloaded it, you have it the redundancy on your side. And from the realm metadata, you are extracting the prefix, and afterwards the prefix is maintained by literally known node. So this node will be, or let's say the swarm of nodes, subswarm of nodes, should resolve for you the internal representation of a persistent identifier.
Okay.
I am thinking about it like that.
Then you will have each node will resolve the encryption, the last part of the identifier as they wish, or you will set the rule for them to resolve it.
Let's say if the node owns the prefix, it may resolve as it wants. But if the node doesn't own the prefix and cannot obviously assure it with a public key, then it should read from the metadata the method. It should resolve the internal representation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the realm is a name assigning authority, basically.
There are no name assigning authority. That's just a private key owner.
Yeah, but it will give you you will have the authorization.
Authorization is a private key ownership.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and who issues the private key?
You can issue by yourself, or you can use the private key signed by any third party that can disclose itself.
And then this is what we talked before. I think maybe I'm just
yes. It's
this is how you avoid attack, and how do you which trust system you establish in order to generate those keys?
Let's say the public trust over the third-party signatures. And this is why I still cannot avoid the instrumenting the concept of agent realm.
Okay.
So the agent actually has an internal representation, and obviously agent has a persistent identifier by himself. But the only thing by which the agent access his profile metadata is let's say the token.
This token can be either like a Gmail.
Yes, open authority language, SISL, or
and we
something.
could even establish a private
Proceed.
key registry in our own terms.
Yes,
If,
and this registry
we
again.
could
Yeah.
issue if we don't want to force OrcID or Gmail or whatever. We could also issue our own, like Zoom. You know, in Zoom
Yes.
you can register yourself.
Yes, it should be let's say from my point of view, it's essential. We should
Okay.
not be snapped to anything, so we will have an invariant as an internal representation. So you will have, yes, and Jonas, please.
Yeah, but just so that I know that I have understood. So it would be like you having your own DNS server in a way that you can direct from, and people that want something from you, your DNS server is.
Yes, it's like the distributed hash table actually is used like this, literally like this in open NIC and BitTorrent network.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, so it's literally used like this. But let's say that now we are facing the task to define the rules for public trust. So it is time to switch to the agent specification and the technical specification. So yeah, to be honest, I expect that I will be able to work on it only after the new year. Let's say to dedicate significant time to it. Because now I have literally a big task, and yeah. So if would
And New Year is like the European New Year.
yes, European New Year, not Chinese, not
Oh, yeah.
no, European.
There are a lot
New
of New Years.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's say in January. Yeah. Let's say in January.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, please.
So you need us to write something in the meantime, or research something.
Both everything you are wishing to contribute. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What about those graphs we have in regarding the DPID structure? When we were talking with the under the DCI umbrella, you know, at the beginning with Eric. Are
Yeah.
those still is that still the structure that represents this, or we have to think on something new? You know, the Jonas presentation did in Sweden and
well, we are now actually thinking about some new things like realms, and because obviously this DPID doesn't have a concept of realms and prefixes.
Okay, so we should focus on this new document.
I think, yeah, I think for now it will be the best solution, because we eliminated a lot of let's say the things that could not be useful.
Okay.
Yeah, let's say it is my opinion. If you have another arguments, please.
No, I think it's okay. Just to be clear, because sometimes it makes some noise to think on that solution. and and analyzing both, and what I saw is that blockchain is not we don't rely on blockchain, and I saw it much similar to this radical solution. I think we have to kind of write everything not from the beginning, because we wrote already something, and the core is there, but we have to start to make it more documented.
Feasible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Make it feasible. I think yes. I think yes, because this, let's say, it's let's say it's a topic with the high volumes, but it's let's say literally simple in the terms of rules.
Yep. So what I'm thinking is maybe to gather information, make that document more like with consensus.
Yeah.
Who are participating, and maybe in March we should establish a roadmap.
Yes, it's a good idea.
So we are serious about it.
Yeah, for March, it's really a good idea. On that time, probably I would like to complete some big task here, and
yeah, we all have our different occupations, but so we are realistic, and but steady.
yeah, at least we are trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be realistic to have some sort of roadmap and a plan on what we aim to be to have like a finished part by which time. And I think we could probably construct that until after New Year,
Yeah.
so that we know where we're going.
I think it's interesting, and what I see also is that we are putting the policy or the concept ahead of the technology. You know, we are not trying to use a technology, but trying to use the technology to find a solution, and that's key. And I think that can solve. And I'm actually, I have to confess that I'm happy that the Bitcoin is not in the picture, because what I'm seeing, the politics side of Bitcoin is a bit dangerous. At least
why would the Bitcoin be here?
Huh?
Why would the Bitcoin be here?
The cryptocurrency, you know, the DCI.
Yes, let's say the cryptocurrency element, conceptual element, built in within the PID infrastructure. Because
that is what DCI is.
Actually, yes, because it's let's say in terms of its current state, it may be used to segregate the access, as it is now, as now the DOI does.
That is not acceptable.
Yeah, that's why I'm happy we are not anymore with that.
And this was, to be honest, it was my first doubt about the blockchain technologies in this context from the beginning of the project.
Okay, I see.
Because also the crypto landscape will change, and it will depend a lot on politics, because it's establishing every time more these vulture funds and relying on crypto and using crypto. And I can foresee that the politics in North America can very soon give some systemic use of crypto, and then they will have the validation where this crypto can be used in this country, in this other country no, or you have some kind of authorization from the guys with the weapons. Again,
so
and again.
the kind of regulation authority over every kind of possible cryptocurrencies recognized as cryptocurrencies. let's
Yeah.
say. Let's say yes, and this is the pathway to segregate the access rules for different categories of users, which should not be acceptable for PID infrastructures by definition, I think.
Yeah, because it seems decentralized, but eventually can be de-decentralized by
Yes,
its
yeah,
design.
and also
Because once you have an authorization agency that can validate or not a crypto.
yeah, and also we should really be very careful about working with concepts of anonymizing in terms of blockchain and cryptocurrencies.
Yep.
And in terms of persistent identification, because once you want to identify some data, then you should want also to disclose yourself as the owner or the author.
I think it seems really contra to me, the concept of anonymization and anonymized access and persistent identifier kind of seems to be, to me, the two opposites, right? Because a persistent identifier by itself says I'm pointing to a specific place and I'm claiming ownership of this specific place or data. I mean, and the same goes for, like, you can't have access to data, especially if you're talking about sensitive data. You can't have access to sensitive data unless you disclose who you are and what purpose you want to access this data is. This is never going to be accepted by anyone. So an anonymized access or an anonymized distribution seems really contra to the whole idea of a persistent identifier. So
yes, it's contrary, but let's say when you are speaking about the data as a sensitive thing, then it's the first point, very first point we should think about is would we allow someone to know about the existence of this data? As me and Francis were writing the reply to that sensitive data working group on the Research Data Alliance, and it was already really, I consider it as more or less good text. So yeah, we described everything, every aspect of this.
It's up to the issuer if you want to use a persistent identifier. If you use a persistent, you are like Lars is saying, you are claiming it doesn't mean you disclose the data. You are just claiming authority and publishing the metadata about the data.
But
you know, the landing page, it doesn't mean that it's an open data. It identified with the persistent identifier.
And the only problem,
the identifier, it will not show the data. It will show the metadata.
Yes, the only problem we have in this context is when someone owning a weapon would like to say, if you are opening this metadata, and I would declare that no one should know about the existence of the underlying data at all, then everyone accessing this metadata should have a permission. So this is really a problem. It's, let's say, the authority bloating over the sensitive data, but we should not think about it once we would encounter it in terms of persistent identification, because our goals are obviously not that.
Yeah. No, but we should have the governance of it in such a way that once it's deployed, no one owns it.
You mean that no one owns the identifier?
Yeah, No, and even and no one owns the governance and the decision once it's deployed. Is whoever is holding a node is owning their own part.
Yes.
So nobody can hey, you're giving access to, for example, you're giving persistent identifiers to Cubans. I'm not giving it, they are taking it.
Yeah, and then
you know what I mean?
Yes, and the
because
persistent
the Cuban science now cannot have a persistent identifier, a regulated persistent identifier.
Yeah. And for example, and as another example, in the terms of governance, I think we should not govern anything except let's say the rules of maintaining the infrastructure. And that's the only
What do you
thing
mean
that
by
we
that?
should. Sorry?
The rules of maintaining the infrastructure.
It's literally the rules about exchanging the messages and handling the private and
Oh, you
public
mean
keys.
okay? So
Yeah.
so just
So it's mathematically
the
established, and once we have the algorithm, we have a governance.
Yeah, but it's
Yep, okay.
but it's not governance over who can
Who can
because
or who cannot.
and that's the anonymity we are talking about. In that regard, the anonymity is that something we wish. We wish that the process of generating the key for the realm is obscure even to us, so we don't know to whom we are giving access.
Exactly. Or not for realm, for prefix, because
For
the
prefix,
realm
yeah.
is a let's say consensus object, but the prefix is
the
owned.
realm is like a DAO.
Like this. And for example, we would have an instrumentation realm for DOI. So the DOI have an internal representation, and then it goes to our system and being resolved.
Okay, so the realm is not obscure, but the
Prefix.
The prefix, yes.
Yes. I think it's probably the mostly useful model, because because it's let's say again, recalling from far away, it's the first question I was asked on almost every conference and in every conversation with, let's say, the people from the field, the people who are not the librarians, but for example, the artwork resellers. They want to meet the persistent identifier, but they want also to have the prefix for themselves.
And by prefix, just to be clear, you mean?
Let me show you. So it's from the concept. Let me share my screen. Here we are. So here are the examples. So it's let's say the representation of the protocol. This is a realm. This is a prefix. Again, this is a realm. This is a prefix named by holder, and then it's a kind of arbitrary identifier that should be then translated to internal representation. It's very, very draft.
Okay.
Io vengo da, tiro numeri, abbordo la prima che passa e tu non mi
And
vedi.
this,
I was looking at these
draft,
before.
draft specification of the message. Sorry.
You have a very loud Italian person behind you. Okay, so in a way that prefix is identifying you as a PID minter, I guess. Yes or no?
So just one second, please.
Quindi
Okay, so could you please repeat your question?
I don't remember it. Well, it was that the prefix is sort of identifying you as being the minter of this PID, so to say. So it's more of an identifier that could point someone towards you.
Let's say as a prefix owner, you can easily to mint for someone else. You have just, let's say, have to be part of the web of a public trust. So you are signing the key, and you are allowing someone to mint under your prefix. So
I see.
it may work like this, but it's let's say in terms of signing signing the messages.
But for instance, the first part, I don't remember what that was called. It was not the prefix. It was the domain, the realm. Realm. Yeah.
Yeah, the first part is realm.
That is something that is fairly large, I would say. Like
Yes, and it is a consensus object. So everyone inside the network, once he is online, should have a unique and uniquely identified and hash identical list of realms.
But I was thinking, because this is supposed to be identifying anything. It's not just research data. It's virtually anything.
Like let's say any distributed system does. It's a
So
bit stream.
yeah. So the first part, the realm, would be very. I mean, DNA sample. There are probably billions of DNA samples in the world, but if it was like something that is fairly unique, you could. What I'm aiming for here is, are these large enough so that they don't need to be sort of
Once
anonymized?
this is why I am so sure about implementing the prefixes, because the prefix divides the full space of the realm into the segments, which should not be obviously should not be downloaded at a single part.
So, but for instance, if you have the realm is movies, and you have a lot of versions of the same movie, and you have would movies be a realm, and for instance, I don't know, movies with Keanu Reeves would be like the prefix.
Let's say it depends from the model that the initial registrar of realm could and the owner of the first prefix of this realm would decide.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's I think it's fair enough, because we can do the persistent identifier that has different spaces for the different needs.
In a way, these wouldn't matter if they are not human readable.
Well, as the persistent identifier we are talking about is the string, it could be machine readable, it could not be machine readable.
I think you said not human readable there.
Not well here.
Here it is human readable. So I think that was what confused me a bit, because you would need a lot of words just to describe things.
You mean, but what do you think about making it human readable? Could you please write it down in the document?
I think there is no need to be human readable, but we should be always sure that it's resolved correctly. Some solution in the ARC alliance is use something they call beta numeric.
And
beta numeric, they refer to the use of numbers and consonants except the L, and all in
lowercase.
Lowercase.
Yeah, But
So it's
I
just
was the thing I was
just a different implementation of internal representation invariant representation of the persistent identifier, right?
Yeah, the thing is that we should this we are not talking now, but we should establish some rules so we avoid collisions and that we set the rules for this to be resolved constantly and persistently.
Yeah, what I was talking about was that, for instance, if you have DNA sample and you have 100,000 per researcher, you would get a lot of different PIDs under
Yeah.
that domain. But in a way, you would also miss out on the same researchers' RNA samples because they would be in a totally different realm. So,
Yep.
so you would have some. You would actually need to be able to resolve things in a group that are in totally different realms at the same time. I don't think it's a problem, but yeah, I don't know how you would do it otherwise. It's just that you would need to, for instance, if you don't have the realm, you have invented a new method of something that, and or maybe you don't know that there's a realm. You should be able to mint your PID just by clicking a button. It shouldn't, you shouldn't need to know the realm. That's what I mean by human readable.
Yes. So you should be also available to int your PID out of a web of public trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing
So
is the string is produced by algorithm. No, it's not serial.
yeah. So
Okay,
let's say
that
it
is
could
good.
be. Yeah. So it could be,
That
for
is-
example,
The string is not serial. Otherwise, it's
Yes, exactly. So that's, since all these words are human readable, I think I got confused, but you set me straight. So I understand now that those are generated, not invented.
yeah. And to be
the
honest,
last part. The
Sorry?
last part. The last part of the string is generated.
Okay,
Yes.
but
The registry of the first part is subjective to those he who is registering.
But I
let's
mean,
say,
okay, I have one question.
Yeah.
And that is, if I am minting several different PIDs for several different subjects, would we want those to end up in different realms? And how would the algorithm know? Do I have to know about what data I'm minting a PID for, or could we resolve that in the way that we resolve like an address, where you first have the address to the country and then to smaller and smaller parts, so that all my PIDs would be minted using the same realm, the same prefix, because they are mine.
I think we can give to each realm the possibility to either have obscure prefix assignation with algorithm, or transparent human readable prefix designation. The last part is not discussion, is obscure and generated by algorithm. The
Yes.
last part of the string.
Yep.
But we should give the option. For example, as a university, I register a realm, and then I want each journal to have a minting possibility for the each article they publish, or each repository, a data repository. I want each data repository to mint their own DPIDs.
Yeah,
So each one, I want to name it like ISSN. I want to use the ISSN number for example, and that will be the designation of the string with the option of personalized or transparent. I know it's less secure for my system because easily once you discover the string, you could fake my DPIDs because you could invent DPIDs that looks like mine. But something I can risk if I want, I want to. I can risk something like that.
That's where I thought maybe you.
Like a DOI, you can fake a DOI.
Yeah, but you cannot fake your IP address. Well, you could,
No.
but not if you want someone to connect to you.
Yeah.
So I was thinking that my IP isn't chosen by me at all, but it has a lot of numbers that are easily readable by, well, even a human, but they don't mean anything to me. But they mean everything to another machine that tries to connect to me.
Yep.
And then we have the namespace, the DNS server that translates from my language into the IP. But maybe we should separate the algorithm-based identifier of a realm and a prefix, and then have some sort of connected version that translates if you want it personalized, so that we can avoid thing where people spoof your DPID's prefix.
Well, for this, I think we automatically have a, let's say, at least a country solution, because as the prefix is identified by publicly trusted or not publicly trusted key, then it could be accepted the concept. For example, like in the computer system, the device are identified, because in the computer systems, the device would be identified by serial number, by ID, system ID, and by the human readable name. And for this, it could be not the databases, but actually it's the instrumentation realms. So instead of having the special realm for example, all of the PIDs minted by you, you can type something like this. I will demonstrate it. PID by prefix, something like that, and then this. Under this realm is just an instrumentation that can give you an access to every PID minted by the listed user.
Okay, I see. Would that make it possible to have PIDs that point to the same place from different realms?
No one will limit us from doing this.
Yeah. I share there another option that I think I like the most is the digital library. It's the French UNESCO digital library, and they use the namespace before the PID. So I think that's a better solution. So you don't have to mess up with the namespacing your PID.
Yeah, sorry, I need just one second, please.
Yep, I can comment on that. I really like that as well. That was more or less what I was aiming for when I was saying that you could have one part that is human readable, which is of course, the namespace here, I can easily read UNESCO.
Yeah.
Or can I?
No,
Yeah.
perché
UNESCO.org.
Yes,
That
because
is
you can
easy for me
digitalize.
to remember. And the rest is just a random string of things that identify, I would say, the document or the file, whatever it is. And that was what I was aiming for, because in this case, the realm would be the UNESCO site, I guess, and then the rest would be generated by the algorithm. Or would you say that even
No.
the namespace is even outside of the algorithm completely?
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
It's just they are minting inside that digital library, and they put the namespace before the PID.
Because what I was thinking, otherwise you could have a problem where if we have the realm being Uppsala University, for instance, it's fairly small, but we still have several people with my name. So if we try to do that, it would sort of not be clear whether or not it's me who has minted them just by mistake.
You could have something like PID.uppsala.se hash DPID, and then
Yes, I like it. That's what I want as well. It took me a long time to explain, but that is what I would.
If you would like, please write it down, because due to some circumstances, I may not recognize it correctly. So if you will write it down, I would be really appreciated.
yeah, this we can look how Arc is doing it, and just to have the same rule in our.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can easily borrow these rules because they seem really useful. And together with this, actually, it's a POSIX concept from identifying by instrumentation realms like that. And together with this, it would be really, let's say, a bomb feature.
Yeah.
Okay, now I will, if you, don't we need any more the screen sharing? May I stop it?
You may.
Okay, okay, perfect. So, yeah, so it's now we have something to write a bit.
Per ogni live quindi ci sono
Yeah, I like it. Thanks for well
l'alimentazione
with me being absent from 3 meetings or something. So I had a couple of stupid questions, but I feel informed.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. And let's say the messages we have agreed of, the realm of agents. It's a more a technical question about the internal representation of the agent ID. So here I really need suggestions. If you would like to suggest the, let's say, invariant tokens or something like that, I would be really happy to hear. This is why I was asking you, Sergio, about the discussion with the agent.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, for example, for now, I see that the agent should be also, let's say, persistently identified. So the thing is how to access the agent's profile. Because literally, in the edge case, bleeding edge case, the only one who may be able to resolve the agent's profile is the agent himself.
Yes.
Maybe also the root node of a web of a public trust on which this agent trusts for keeping his private key.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So
the agent needs to place the trust, and after that,
he may decide to place a trust.
Yes.
But he is not obliged to do.
No.
If he wants to maintain his keys by himself, he may do.
Yeah. would make it harder to find whatever he is sort of supplying and giving the IDs for, but sure, we don't want to force people. And I
Yeah.
also think that makes sense, because sometimes you would want to have a PID for data that isn't moderated or verified, or maybe the entire project will fail at some point, and then you don't want to have a PID for something that isn't publishable or ready.
Yeah. For example, in situations like that.
Yep. Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Perfect. Okay, so now we have mostly we have discussed, or let's say, almost all points of our agenda, and the only question we may address right now is what do we miss from IPFS or IRO?
Not much,
The-
yeah.
Please.
The result, the landing page, you know, once this is deployed, how is resolved? Where is resolved?
Let's say for the public resolution point, it would be, let's say, an arbitrary website. So you should declare it in the social environment as usual. So, or if it is a client on your machine, then it should be there some mechanism to recognize the PIDs. Or, for example, as it is done with IPFS desktop and Google Chrome extension.
Okay.
I think it's a starting point.
And
If you make it not only Google Chrome, but like a browser extension, then I agree.
Yeah, like that. Like that. I think it's a starting point if you have for example, some program deployed on your machine.
I mean, I would like it for links, so that you can just have a text browser and still resolve
Yeah,
text documents.
yeah. To be honest, I don't know how to exactly do this on the current environment, but I think it's a thing that we should strive to do.
That sounds like a good plan.
okay.
Yes.
We just need to write everything down.
Yep.
I think yes, I would be really appreciated, because now I am for all of this week and all the next week I would be pretty busy, and I would not be able to write down the long texts.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a big thing that is finishing next Tuesday, on Tuesday. Oh, it's less than a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That I need to
Yes, it's the
do.
last year spring.
Yeah.
That's why I think March is I mean, we write down, we research a bit further.
Yeah.
And then on March we can have a meeting maybe in 15 days, every 15 days, maintain just, but the real meeting will be to set a roadmap will be in March.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So now about the next meeting in 2 weeks. Would you like to discuss the researches we are doing?
Yeah. Yeah. See, to go further with the this radical option, the how maybe set up a schedule of what our document will look like, at least to have a logical chapter wise, or I don't know, or main schema to describe, and then we just keep filling it up. It doesn't matter if we miss it the point, or it's something that had to be corrected later, but at least what we are with something some doubts or things, just put it in the document, and then we start to shape it next
Which
year.
document should we put it in? So should we continue with this document that is nicely formatted already, or should we have like a?
Could proceed
Okay.
with working the
E
concepts
così
and
è stato
definitions,
pensato per
and then
quale
have a, for example, a chapter inside, and then we could easily just divide it into the separate documents.
Una cosa, dica
Yeah,
la Felix.
okay, so
No,
we will
perché non
put
posso
stuff
fare
into the
entrare.
document that you shared screen with.
Yeah.
Now
and-
about,
Deve chiedere le altre
yeah.
cose, ma
And it will be also
Okay.
nice in these next meetings to start to imagine how graphically this will look like. So,
Yeah.
you know, so it's easily
Domani
easier
pomeriggio
to explain.
Mhm.
no?
Yes, we could try to
Perché
imagine this. To be honest, now I don't know because I'm mostly working with a command line interface,
Allora,
but we could imagine how it
ci
would
mancherebbe
would it
un
look
altro
like.
segnale, cioè
Yeah,
We could do a nice. I think a nice graphical representation would at least tell the story to some people that we can't do with just command line.
And now about the schedule. Would you like to have a meeting on 13th of November, or for example 12th, 14th, or 11th?
Allora, se
I won't be able to be in those meetings since I'm in Costa Rica for the RDA meeting.
il
Okay.
cavo andava
Oh, yes.
diretto dal
Well,
relè
I can be in.
al
It doesn't matter.
PLC,
I have
sulla piattaforma
nothing
era
at this
nostro.
time slot Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday that week. So I am free all of the times.
Comunque il cableaggio
Sergio?
sarà dei filetti per
Yeah,
portarli.
this time of the day is good for me. I can adjust. It's just for me it's noon, so I can take my
Oh, yeah.
lunch break. Lars, maybe is in the RDA meeting, you could like pitch people and see what they think about what we are thinking.
Yeah, we might get some
That
good
would be
suggestions.
nice. Or maybe they will say you guys are crazy, just.
Well, I mean, it worked well in when we started it when you started it in Austria. It was I can try and do something similar like a spontaneous meet or something like that, or online meet at some point if I have the time. I have a lot of things to do, at least in the beginning, because I am chairing a session on health data GORC. So we're doing health data profiles for Global Open Research Commons, and so I'm chairing that session. So I will have something to do in the beginning. Maybe I can try and see if I can fit something in, like a spontaneous meeting at some point, at least.
Which time zone is Costa Rica?
-6 is
Six,
-4.
-6, I think. So roughly East Coast.
Yeah.
If you compare to US.
So
Yeah, I was just thinking. So maybe have them in the
Marco, questo posso dire?
before lunch if you want us to join via Zoom.
Siamo stabilito per il
Um,
e then poi chi
See what I can do, but I'd have to look a little bit on the morning schedule there.
Yeah, no pressure.
So the preliminary schedule is 2 weeks afar, the Wednesday, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so because I should place an order next week.
Comunque non è questo il problema. Mia paura è che
So that is the
che
13th?
più che non convenziona Lorenzo Massamà.
Yeah.
Of course, I will send again the calendar file.
Siamo a posto.
Yeah, okay.
Di questo potremo, di questo
Yeah.
tutto.
And
Marco, vuoi andare via perché mi aspetta mia moglie,
So,
mesi in garage, sono ancora qua.
yeah, I think for today we may complete.
Di questo Di questo possiamo
Okay.
sempre una
Thank you for a nice
Thank
meeting.
thank you very much
Great
for
meeting.
participating.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I hope that for example, Francis and Yorgos will be able to participate next time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, and
Bye
have a
bye.
nice evening.
Bye.
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 Bye there.
Sì.